Just to give you a background on how this webinar came about. So at GraspOS, we're working very hard to create this infrastructure and also the open science assessment framework that together they will provide guidance and solutions and opportunities to embrace open science in the way we do responsible research assessment. So we have different activities that includes pilots from different aspects. And then, of course, observing the wider landscape of what is happening in the field of open science, Diamond Publishing is being developing, it's establishing itself as a very interesting model to move forward on how we do scholarly publishing. And it's important to figure out a way how those two topics, for example, GraspOS and CRAFT-OA from the infrastructure perspective and the things that we need to do around managing the infrastructure of Diamond Publishing, and of course through the lens of DIAMAS, who are doing excellent work in developing in disseminating mostly and setting up the standards, the quality standards that make Diamond Publishing a very interesting scholarly publishing model. We decided to have this webinar whereby we demonstrated different activities for the projects, and in between we try to figure out a way to have a conversation of how this can further align our activities, how they can further align themselves with research assessment reform. As we all know, it's an ongoing initiative activity recently with since 2022 at least, with the launch of the Coalition of Advancing Research Assessment in the EU, and of course with DORA that started this movement back in 2012. So this is more or less the background, and you will have an opportunity to share your questions, your thoughts, your comments. Of course, just to give you an idea also of the flow of the webinar. So we will start with a presentation by Janne Pölönen, then we will present the work of GraspOS, then CRAFT-OA, then we will have a Mentimeter where we will have some discussion around certain statements where we would like your input on how you agree or disagree with certain statements in relation to Diamond Publishing and Research Assessment. And of course, after that, we'll have the presentation from DIAMAS. So if I may take a moment to introduce the people who will present. First, we start with Janne Pölönen. Janne is the Secretary General of Publication Forum of the Federation of Finnish Learned Societies. Janne and I are working together in different things, and I'm really happy to have you here today, Janne. He's working on different aspects of open science. He's involved in all three projects, GraspOS, DIAMAS, and CRAFT-OA. So he's very familiar with Diamond Publishing, research assessment practices, but also multilingualism, a very important aspect of research assessment reform. At least it's very important in the SSH area. So that would be the first. 1 second. So as I said, afterwards, it will be Thanasis Vergoulis, who is a principal researcher at IMSI of Athena Research Center in Greece. He has been involved in several EU and national ICT projects involving big data management, scholarly knowledge representation and management, scientometrics, research analytics, and bioinformatics. He has served as a member of the program or organizing committee for several computer science conferences and workshops, and as a guest editor in special issues of well-established journals. He has been teaching courses in undergraduate and postgraduate levels in academic institutions in Greece and Cyprus, and of course, he is the scientific coordinator of GraspOS. Afterward, we will have Leonidas Pispiringas, who is a data science and technical manager at OpenAir. He is the service manager for the institutional dashboards in the OpenAir monitor, designing advanced metrics and dashboards to track research trends and open access uptake. He's also a member of the OpenAir guidelines team and service manager of the metadata and FAIR validator, working on shaping the development of standards and tools for metadata quality and interoperability. He's also the data curator for the OpenAIRE graph aggregation team, driving the metadata harvesting, harmonization, and quality control. And you will see how important this is from both the perspective of CRAFT-OA and GraspOS. And he actively contributes to various projects, including not just CRAFT-OA, but OS Trails, GraspOS as well, focusing on open access publishing and fair data practices, as we just described, as well as next generation research assessment. He holds an MSc in informatics and management, and he's currently pursuing the PhD in applied informatics, specializing in bibliometrics, data mining, and machine learning. Then we have Milica and Milica Sevkusic is a project coordinator for the EIFL Open Access Program and librarian at the Institute of Technical Sciences of the Serbian Academy of Sciences and Arts. As a member of the repository development team at the University of Belgrade Computer Center, she has been involved in the development of a network of institutional repositories in Serbia. She is also a founding member of the Open Science Community Serbia. In the capacity of the EIFL Open Access Program country coordinator, she has been supporting open access journals in Serbia since 2014. And her professional interests focus on open science library services aimed at supporting research activities, training in academic services and tools, and support to open access journals, information literacy, and research ethics. And last but not least, Irina Kuchma has been managing the EIFL Open Access Program since 2008, working in collaboration with libraries and library consortia in more than 15 countries in Africa, Asia, and Europe. He advocates for open access to research results and facilitates the development and implementation of open science policies and infrastructures and provides support and training. So without further ado, Janne, you have the floor to start the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this. I will start sharing my screen. Can you see me? See the slides?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Janne, can you minimize your floating controls just because they look as dark screen elements on the screen? Yeah.
Okay. Is it better now?
It's better, yes.
Okay, good. So thanks for this opportunity to contribute to this webinar and to discuss how assessment reform enhances Diamond Open Access. I based this presentation on the one I gave at the second Global Summit on Diamond Open Access in Cape Town last year. So that's why the presentation is in Quora colors. In this presentation, I will first tell a bit about Quora and the assessment reform. Then I will briefly discuss global journal landscape. What does it look like? What does the Diamond Open Access landscape look like? And finally, I would end my talk considering what difference Quora makes for the Diamond Open Access. So let's begin with the Quora and Coalition for Advancing Research Assessment. So we are all very much familiar with the different international initiatives that have been put forward to reform research assessment. The main goal in general is to incentivize, reflect, and reward the plural characteristics of high-quality research and to support diverse and inclusive research cultures. And as Fotis mentioned in the introduction, in 2022, an agreement on reforming research assessment was published with the vision that assessment of researchers, and research organizations recognizes the diverse outputs, practices, and activities that maximize the quality and impact of research. Quora, namely the Coalition for Advancing Research Assessment, is a community of organizations that have signed the agreement, and currently it has the agreement has been signed by over 800 organizations, of which more than 700 are Quora members. And this is an overview of the Quora membership at the moment. The large majority of Quora member organizations are universities, research centers, and infrastructures, but a very broad range of organizations have joined the community, including learned societies, research funders, evaluation agencies, and other relevant organizations. Most of the organizations come from Europe, but QARA is also growing increasingly global. And of course, QARA is also very much aligned and allied with other international initiatives, such as the Latin American Forum for Research Assessment and DORA, to name a few. So let's then take a quick look at the global journal landscape and Diamond Open Access. To understand the global landscape of scholarly journals, I have created with colleague Mikael Laakso. Mikael is also involved in the DIAMAS and CRAFT-OA projects, a list of 150,000 unique journals based on ISSNs from different sources. And what we learn from this kind of global overview is that the landscape of scholarly journals is, first of all, much larger and much more multilingual than the exclusive Web of Science and Scopus databases make us believe. So more than half of all journals are either multilingual or published in languages other than English. And what we also learn looking at the same data is that indexation of journals in Scopus, which is the more inclusive of the two databases, is clearly biased in favor not only of English language journals, but also journals published in the global north. As long as research assessment relies on these exclusive commercial citation databases, most of the global knowledge production published in different languages will remain invisible for the assessments. An analysis of the directory of open access journals, which is of course our dear ally also in all of these projects. Analysis of these journals shows that the distinction between APC-based journals and Diamond Open Access journals is not only about the funding model. The majority of APC-based journals are published in English. They are more or less targeted to the international audience, while the Diamond Open Access publishing model is practically the only viable option for journals published partly or only in languages other than English. This means that Diamond Open Access is fundamentally important for multilingualism in scholarly communication. And I quickly show that recent research by Simard and colleagues shows that also when it comes to Diamond Open Access journals, Web of Science and Scopus indexation is biased against languages other than English. So the problem overall is that currently assessment of research and researchers prioritizes a very narrow definition of excellence, meaning basically articles published in English language journals, indexed in the Web of Science or Scopus, or having the journal impact factor. The higher, the better. Diamond Open Access journals suffer from invisibility in these databases, especially Web of Science and Scopus. They either lack journal impact factor or have relatively low ones compared to APC-based journals. The contributions of researchers as authors, as reviewers, as editors to Diamond Open Access journals can also be regarded less valuable because they are published in languages other than English, or these journals are oriented toward locally relevant knowledge, so not the international excellence. So what difference does QARA aspire to make? So over 800 organizations have already committed themselves to 4 core commitments, and this means recognizing the diversity of research contributions and careers, prioritizing qualitative evaluation supported by responsible use of quantitative indicators, abandoning inappropriate uses of the journal impact factor and age indexes, and avoiding the use of university rankings in research assessment. So moving towards quality-focused assessments, recognizing diversity of contributions and open science practices, and avoiding the inappropriate uses of venue-based metrics helps to level the playing field in terms of incentives for scholar-led multilingual Diamond Open Access journals. Commitments also signal a move away from the narrow notion of international excellence towards a plural, contextualized and situated notions of excellence or excellencies. The CORA agreement also supports recognition of research contributions irrespective of language, in accordance with the Helsinki Initiative, and a move away from databases that are biased based on language. This aspect is also highlighted very much by the Latin American Forum for Research Assessment. I would also like to highlight that one of the CORA principles is to ensure independence and transparency of the data, infrastructure, and criteria necessary for research assessment and for determining research impacts. Here, CORA is very well aligned with the recent Barcelona Declaration on open research information. Rather than indexation in Web of Science and Scopus, the priority for Diamond journals should be visibility in open databases such as OpenAlex, which provide inclusive research information globally on diverse contributions, languages, and impacts. Assessment reform by making researchers' diverse contributions as authors, reviewers, and editors visible and recognizable by using persistent identifiers and providing rich metadata. So this is also a challenge for the Diamond Open Access journal ecosystem to work on. To conclude, CORA promotes inclusive research assessment culture that values the diverse contributions from the Diamond Open Access journal ecosystem. Many of you may have seen Ludo Waldman's blog post. Ludo is also involved in a GraspOS project on how assessment reform and scholarly communication reform need to go hand in hand. And they really shake hands with regard to one of the commitments: do not reward researchers for publishing in prestigious high impact factor journals. I would like to highlight that the main common concern is indeed to stop the worship of the journal impact factor in research assessment. Do we publish in quartile 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, or think as outputs in Web of Science or Scopus index journals as something international and excellent and thereby greatly valued? We really need to, while we also stop the worship of journal impact factor, recognize the valuable contribution to science and society of the global Diamond, scholar-led Diamond ecosystem. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Janne. This was very informative, and I think it sets up in the best way to understand what is the issues here at hand. And I'm not going to delay Thanasis' presentation. Thanasis, let's talk about GraspOS now.
Yeah, let me share my screen first. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So, hi everyone, I'm Thanasis Vergoulis from Athena Research Center, and as Fotis mentioned, I'm also the Chief Technical Manager of the GraspOS project. And in this small presentation, I will try to give a glimpse on what this project is trying to do, and also provide the connections to the Diamond Open Access subject. So which are the connections of our projects to this subject? GraspOS in a nutshell, the mission of the project is to develop, assess, and put into operation an open and federated infrastructure that will support and enable the required policy reforms for open science aware responsible research assessment. So the project is trying to promote responsible research assessment practices to facilitate their implementation, but also the project is trying to promote open science and to facilitate the recognition of open science related activities and the openness in the research community in general, the various activities in research. This open and federated infrastructure, in its core, it has an array of different catalogs that are trying to make discoverable different tools, different services, data sets, for instance, but also some other templates and guidance materials that are useful to implement research assessment processes. The idea is that we are building this kind of catalogs, providing the appropriate metadata schemas so that we can capture information that can be useful for the easy discovery of all those resources. And we are also working on the interoperability of the data sources, building some, creating some specifications that determine how this kind of data sources should exchange information with other systems. And all these are being integrated into one front end to allow for the end users, researchers, funders, other related stakeholders from the research ecosystem. They can use this front end to have access, to get access to those resources and to discover them easier than before. And because GraspOS is a European Commission funded EOSC-related project, we put also effort in making all these catalogs compatible to EOSC and integrated into the EOSC ecosystem. So any resources that are included in our infrastructure are also visible to EOSC through the various catalogs that EOSC has. But apart from the infrastructure itself, we also have experts working on creating a framework to support the reform to open science aware responsible research assessment. We call it the OSO framework. You can think of it as an extension of the scope methodology that also determines the kind of infrastructure that is needed and can help towards this reform. The project also has 9 real-world pilots covering different use cases that are trying to co-develop the framework and the infrastructure, test it, and demonstrate its value. Finally, the project also has created a community of practice, essentially creating a network of experts in the domain of responsible research assessment and open science that has already held multiple meetings in the past on interesting subjects in this field, and a set of training events that have been held in the past that are being collected and will be the basis of a relevant course. So this is more or less the project in a nutshell, and just to get a glimpse of the consortium of the project, Athena Research Center is the coordinator, and if you look carefully, you will see that those organizations are experts in different subjects. We have experts in infrastructure, we have experts in responsible research assessment and open science, and finally we have some organizations that represent some important communities, which are also the basis of some of the pilots of the project. Now, having all this said, I would like to discuss now on how GraspOS activities are related to Diamond Open Access. First of all, GraspOS aims to enhance the recognition of open science practices more broadly, and this includes, of course, open access and consequently Diamond Open Access. So, by principle and by design, our project relates to Diamond Open Access and tries to incentivize the usage, the uptake of Diamond Open Access. But more importantly, our project has offers a set of tools and services that can help the Diamond Open Access venues to be better embedded in the research assessment processes. We have data sources and services that make the spectacle metadata easy to use in such processes. We are working on some academic profile platforms that the project is offering, and it is possible for them to include Diamond Open Access papers as valued contributions of the researchers, something that can help the visibility of Diamond Open Access venues. And we are working on some specifications that can improve the interoperability of the systems that support the Diamond Open Access venues with some major scholarly metadata sources like the OpenAir Graph. Just indicatively, I have here included the RA-SKG, Research Assessment Scientific Knowledge Graph model, which is an extension of the RDA's SKG-IF model that determines a specification about the metadata of metadata sources around scholarly metadata. And this is an extension that includes also a couple of entities that are important for the use case of research assessment, but are not yet incorporated into the core SKG-IF model. And we also worked on an API specification that can be used by such sources while they are exposing the data through an API. We already have published the first version, and until the end of the project, we expect to have an improved one. Finally, the project offers tools and services to measure the update of Diamond Open Access, something that can assist decision-making for publishers, funding organizations, and other stakeholders that would like to plan some interventions. And it is also possible through the same or other tools included in the GraspOS infrastructure to measure the results of those interventions and plan for improvements. Finally, before closing, I would like to also briefly explain the connection of our project to Coara and Barcelona Dori. Of course, the connection to Coara, I think, is evident because our project focuses on the open science aware responsible research assessment, and Coara has a lot of emphasis, puts a lot of emphasis on responsible research assessment practices. In some way, GraspOS is trying to pave the way for the reforms Coara, some of the reforms Coara is planning. GraspOS is building this federated infrastructure of open resources that can provide metadata, tools, services, guidance material, etc. And this is well aligned to the Dori's vision, Barcelona Dori's vision, to transition from a closed to open, from the usage of closed systems to open research information. And GraspOS contributes to this vision in multiple ways, providing all those resources that we mentioned, making them easy to discover. We also have the pilots that can offer concrete examples on how research organizations can try to use open research information instead of closed information for the implementation of research assessment processes. Of course, in the context of the pilots, we also investigate the effect of the interventions in research assessment that can incentivize researchers to create and share open research information, something that can help the further enrichment of the ecosystem. And finally, we are contributing to EOS, as I said, so we can act like a bridge between the Barcelona Dori, Coara, and EOS. And with that said, thank you.
Thank you, Thanasis. This was very insightful as well. And I think we saw how certain elements that Janne discussed, like visibility and metadata, curation, and all of these things, I think it was very interesting to see how GraspOS is already addressing them. Julia wants to make a comment that was also touched by the presentation of Janne and Thanasis. In GraspOS, we're working with open infrastructure for scholarly communication that index multiple resources, Diamond OA journals that are a part of it. Thank you, Julia. Andrea Manocchi, who is also part of GraspOS, shared a link on the SKG IF website that we have that we're developing, so feel free to look at it. Selçuk has some questions, but I want to give the floor to Leonidas to present CRAFT-OA's approach, and then we have the intervention with the Menti, and I think it will be maybe a good moment to answer a couple of these questions, or at the end after the presentation of Irinas and Milichas. So, Leonidas, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this. Let me share my screen. Okay, so today I will present you In detail, one of the outputs of the results of the CRAFT-OA project, and this is the publisher dashboard that is hosted in the OpenAir Monitor service. First of all, I have prepared a slide to present with the CRAFT-OA project. It is an European Union funded Horizon Europe project. Its goal is to strengthen and evolve the Diamond Open Access Publishing by building capacity and sustainability for institutional and scholar-led journals. In CRAFT-OA, we develop technical tools, shared services, and infrastructure for Diamond Open Access Publishing. These tools enhances metadata quality, indexing, and interoperability, and we foster collaboration across publishers, service providers, and policymakers for the Diamond Open Access community. As I already said in the beginning, the Open Publisher Dashboard is one of the CRAFT-OA outputs. Apart from the Open Publisher Dashboard, I want to mention that the main result that and output that comes from CRAFT-OA will be the Diamond Discovery Hub, which will be the first, let's say, service, the first platform that will provide information and for identifying correctly the Diamond Open Access journals, following up the criteria that have been developed through the DIAMAS project. Because as we all know, if a journal does not have article processing charges, it doesn't mean that it's published, it is a Diamond Open Access journal. DIAMAS project has built several criteria that will be applied to the Diamond Discovery Hub. And of course, we built also several tools, plugins for Diamond Open Access publishing platforms, multilingual plugins, plugins for the integration into the OpenAir Graph that I will mention in my slides as we go on. So, the Publisher Dashboard. What is the Publisher Dashboard? It's through the OpenAir Monitor service, and it provides tailored metrics and insights for Diamond Open Access publishers so that they will be able to monitor the quality of their scholarly production, their impact by viewing citations and downloads, the collaborations, the project participations, co-authorship, funding information of the published articles in their journals, benchmark metrics against their Diamond Open Access journals. They will track trends over time through several indicators and metrics. We will also offer linked data from links of publications to datasets and software. This is soon to be implemented. And of course, there will be also insights about the authors of the Diamond Open Access publications. So why OpenAir Monitor? OpenAir Monitor is all about open science and open data. We provide full coverage beyond publications. We build, as it is in our policy and also in CRAFT-OA's policy, relevant tools and indicators and metrics relevance for the community, and we co-develop these indicators with the community. And of course, we are fully embedded in the EOSC infrastructure from the content providers to the included metrics. We foster trust through OpenAir Monitor by having transparency and following the FAIR principles. We have open data, open methods. Our methodologies are clearly structured in our platforms. We serve public traceable indicators aligned with the FAIR principles. We offer timeliness and precisions with regularly updated dashboards, precision metrics for policy and reporting, and effective monitoring of scholarly production. We have comprehensive coverage in OpenAir Monitor and smart insights with the linked data, with quality controls of the metadata that we aggregate in OpenAir, and also we offer insights across all research actors. And also we have inclusivity and usability. We provide dashboard for different stakeholders, from research performing and funding organizations to research initiatives and to diamond open access publishers. The platform is very simple and intuitive to navigate, and of course we are always open to feedback and iteration with all the stakeholders. I have two charts here to briefly introduce the OpenAir Graph, which is the main service of OpenAir that all the other added value services of OpenAir utilize. The OpenAir Graph is a scientific knowledge graph. We aggregate metadata records from several data sources, from repositories, publishers, diamond open access journals, registries, aggregators, and also instrumental data sources, CRAFT, DataSite, DOAJ, OpenAPC, and other repositories. And through several workflows, starting from the aggregation, enrichment by mining of the metadata, the duplication, enrichment by inference, and the finalization process, we provide the final product, which is the OpenAir Graph that is used from the OpenAir added value services and also by several third-party services. And the user feedback is an important step to the process, where we have several functionalities for users, from syncing their ORCID record to be used for author matching. Dashboard managers can link in OpenAir Monitor. Institutional dashboard manager can link their outputs to the institution, and users in general can link their publications to projects. And we have several other functionalities for the user feedback as an important step on the process. This is another slide where these are the instrumental, the authoritative data sources that contribute to the OpenAir Graph in order to have a more comprehensive information. So the indicators and metrics, the themes and the breakdowns in OpenAir Monitor. These are the main sections with the relevant subsections that we use in OpenAir Monitor. For the publisher dashboard, we focus on specific parts on these indicators, themes that will be useful for the Diamond Open Access publishers. At this point, we focus on publications, of course, because we're talking about Diamond Open Access journals, on interdisciplinarity and fields of science breakdowns. On impact, we have the downloads and citations, and also breakdown by sustainable development goals, by SDGs. We have on open science, fairness and planners indicators that we are going to implement them in the dashboard. And of course, we also provide some funding information regarding the Diamond Open Access publications. It's a user-friendly platform with interactive visualizations, exporting capabilities, filtering. You can browse via direct links to OpenAir Explore in order to see exactly the data that is utilized in order to build the dashboard. And we offer also partial editing of the visualizations. And of course, another functionality is you can control how you share your dashboard. You can have a public profile, and also this control goes from the entire profile to a specific chart. And you can declare them to be public for everyone to see as a showcase functionality, restricted, that it's only available for team members for internal monitor, for users that are registered as members in the profile, and the private indicators that are for review and are available only to the managers of the dashboard. And these are all these are customized and validated in one-on-one sessions with us, where apart from the futures and the dashboard futures and the platform, in these one-on-one sessions, we also get indicator feedback and also develop additional indicators. And also we go through the data quality and validation. In the case of the publisher dashboard, it's important that the data source that will be utilized to create the publisher dashboard must be aggregated in OpenAir. The status of the publisher dashboard. Currently, we are finalizing the dashboard with updated metrics and indicators. We are working on add-on functionalities in the platform for the users and the administrators. We want to have a call for application for Diamond Open Access publishers to participate as pilots, use the dashboard, and provide feedback. We are going to disseminate this call to the DIAMAS network to CRAFT-OA members, of course. SRAC from Croatia has already provided as part of the process of the workflow, has already provided feedback on the prototype we built almost a year ago. Mazar University will also participate as a pilot, as we built, they built the OJS plugin that foster compatibility with the OpenAir Guidelines version 4, and they utilized it to tear down open access journals. And we are also going to have and want to have pilots outside CRAFT-OA, and we're currently talking with Milan University Press from University of Milan. We have initiated the dashboard. When it's finalized, we'll contact them in order to begin the pilot. And of course, we are open for anyone, even from GraspOS, that is interested to participate. The prerequisites. The data, as I already said, must be integrated into the OpenAir graph. So the aggregation of publishers and Diamond Open Access journals. Through the OpenAir Provide platform, the data source must be registered and validated. And we need to have the compatibility with the OpenAir guidelines, which is compatibility with the OpenAir guidelines for every data source that we aggregate is very important. First of all, it's very relevant to EOSC because OpenAir is your entry gateway to EOSC, apart from the OpenAir added value services. You will get improved interoperability and you will meet the latest IT and repository standards with more contextualized content, flexible content. You will use controlled, different and improved and controlled vocabularies, and embedded content embedded in the research and infrastructure ecosystem that is aligned with open science mandates and standards. And the OpenAir guidelines, of course, are fair by design. If you're compliant with the OpenAir guidelines, then you are also fair enough. So the key points to follow is to expose your metadata via an OAI-PMH endpoint and be compatible with the OpenAir guidelines. Follow the instructions as they are clearly stated in the OpenAir guidelines website. Populate at least the mandatory fields. And of course, the more populated fields you have, the more improved will be the data quality that we will offer through the dashboard. This slide provides information on how you can expose the metadata and be compliant with the OpenAir Guidelines version 4. So under the auspices of the CRAFT-OA project, an OJS plugin has been developed by Mazar University that is utilized in order to provide compliance with the OpenAir Guidelines version 4. We also support the XML format compatibility. There is also an OJS plugin for providing XML format compatibility, and through a specific process, you can also register and aggregate it into the OpenAir graph by using the XML format. And we have also the metadata validator, where you can assess the metadata quality by measuring your compatibility with the OpenAir guidelines before you register. The metadata validator provides several detailed reports on the number of records that passed for its guideline, and currently is not support the just XML format, but only the OpenAir guidelines. So in this slide, you can see details on how to register your journal or your journals or your aggregator as a publisher in OpenAir Provide. After registering in OpenAir Provide, the aggregation team will evaluate the compatibility, and we will move on with the aggregation into the OpenAir Graph. So thank you very much for your attention. Give me 1 more minute. I just want to show a small demo of the publisher dashboard. This one is for the publisher, the Croatian Academy of Sciences and Arts publisher. This is a publisher from Croatia and is part of the SRAC Diamond Open Access aggregator in Croatia. So at the top, you can see the dashboard and the browse journals option. We will go through the browse journals after we view the dashboard for the publisher. We have the scholarly production section, when you can see the number of journals for these publishers, the number of journals of these publishers that are registered in DOAJ, the number of open access publications, the number of open access peer-reviewed publications, the number of open access publications that are also found in a repository, are also deposited in a repository apart from the publishing process in the Diamond Open Access journals, and also the open access peer-reviewed publications found in a repository. We have a trend with the open access publications and the open access peer-reviewed publications. In this case, the numbers are same. A breakdown by fields of science on level 1 on level 2 for the open access again and the open access peer-reviewed publications. We have interactive charts where you can select what you will see. You can see in different charts. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can export the chart through an image, CSV, and you can also export the data that are used to create the chart. We also have the open access publications found in a repository by country. Well, this way you can see how the publications that are also deposited in a repository are spread throughout the world. Top Diamond Open Access journals by number of open access publications, top RPOs and RFOs, and top data sources. We also have subsections on the funding with project participations and European Commission project participations. I won't go through a lot of details here because we don't have time, and also indicators and metrics regarding fairness, such as open access publications by license type, with CC license and without, with and without ORCID IDs, and indicators and metrics on the impact with citations and downloads. And when we go to the browse journals, we can also see the different journals that will be also uploaded for this publisher, and they are going to have each journal, they're going to have its own dashboard. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leonidas. I think on the first part, we saw some technical information, which I think demonstrates the need, or at least the richness that a dashboard can provide. And I know these are some necessary steps that we need to take to make sure that diamond publishing is more visible and better documented and everything. So I think it was very insightful. And also, it was important to listen about OpenAir Graph because we see a lot of information about OpenAlex. And I think, at least in GraspOS, we're working with OpenAir Graph as our main knowledge graph to build information around that for research assessment practices. So it was really helpful to get this information from you today. And of course, the demonstration shows how visualization can also help insights. So I hope people are interested. There are some questions on the chat. Leonidas, if you want to just take it
Yes.
a moment and answer this in writing, because I want to move.
Okay.
If that's okay, I just want to move to the Mentimeter.
Yes,
just
yes,
to
of course.
make sure that we have the time. I think this is a good moment to just use the Mentimeter to have a conversation, and then Irina and Milica will close the webinar with a presentation of DIAM from the DIAMAS perspective. So, if I may, give me one moment to share my screen and provide. So if you go to, I'm going to write in the chat, menti.com and type 55305151, or I think I can also share the link, participation link. So click on the link here to join this presentation / poll, let's say. What we want to ask you here is how much you agree or disagree with certain statements, because the long-term vision after of this workshop, and the idea is to continue the collaboration until the projects come to a conclusion, and identify ways that we can maybe produce some recommendations around research assessment and Diamond open access journals. So it's important here today to get your input a little bit, whether you agree or disagree with some of our statements and how strongly, or how, or whether you don't agree or disagree. So, and the first one is the lack of inclusion in database like Scopus or Web of Science limits the recognition of Diamond open access journals in research assessments, and we demonstrated why that is. In terms of how the systems work, in terms of the criteria that is needed to be included in Scopus or Web of Science. I'm very interested to see that people are disagreeing as well, and you will have a moment at the end of this slide to share a little bit more about your thoughts, or in the chat. You can actually write in the chat if you want how you disagree with this statement. But I can see we are leaning towards the agree and strongly agree statements. So thank you very much. I see 38 people, at least 33 responses, 34 out of 38. I will move on now to the next one, because I don't want to, because we have to also have the final presentation. Institutions and funders should adopt formal recommendation, e.g. the Diamond Open Access Standard framework, to evaluate and support Diamond Open Access journals. It was mentioned in the chat, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that DOAS is something that's being produced as part of DIAMAS. It includes a lot of instructions and criteria on how to make sure that the journal meets certain quality standards as part of that. But of course, Milica and Irina can speak more to that later on. So I see again here an agreement, and I see one strongly disagree. Usually these statements are the ones that intrigue me the most. And I'm moving to the next slide. Community governance and participation in Diamond Open Access, e.g. editorial boards, peer review, should be acknowledged as research contributions. And this is a very interesting statement in many regards, because they, at least in the SSH pilot, we always talk about this kind of diversity of careers, diversity of contributions, diversity of language, and this kind of rich and different roles that one has in academia, at least, and that certain aspects are not really valued or recognized or rewarded as part of one's career. So again, here I see, I think, less strongly agree than the previous statements. Most people agree, just not strongly agree. I think there are issues here, at least with peer review. If it's open, I think I've heard quite a few people, if you want to make it recognizable or to reward it, I think there are some ways to do this. But if it's, for example, through open peer review, so through the transparent option, then some of the arguments go, at least in not in favor of open peer review, that it can create biases, it can make people write less honest reviews, or being afraid of having conflict with colleagues in their field. So I'm just pointing out here that the issues that sometimes appear when these conversations happen in terms of rewarding or recognizing these practices. Persistent identifiers. So that's the technical aspect, and you saw a very insightful presentation by Leonidas, where we talked about the technical aspect that you really need as part of to make any resource, let alone Diamond Open Access Journal, more visible. Persistent identifiers is one thing. We're talking about mostly the technical elements that support discoverability, like open metadata. And we talk about the value of Barcelona Declaration and open research information here as well. And they are essential for integrating Diamond Open Access Journals into research assessment. I think the argument here goes sometimes that without the proper documentation, without the proper infrastructure, such as persistent identifiers, it's impossible to track and trace and monitor resources to make them visible in activities like research assessment. Thinking like the most obvious thing, like a bibliometric analysis, without proper way of identifying the resources, first and foremost, people might not be able to cite or use this information without persistent identifiers or open metadata. And then once you are able to track them, then you can actually build some sort of analysis around these things. Without this kind of metadata, I think it's impossible to have all this information that we saw in the dashboard. And the last statement is supporting Diamond Open Access requires long-term investment in shared non-profit infrastructures, not just individual journal funding. And this links also to Selçuk's question about whether sustainability is something that we can I'm just trying to find the question to make sure I phrase it properly. Are there efforts to build shared technical platforms or not? This one. Can Diamond Open Access remain sustainable long term? Will it always depend on public funding, or are alternative funding models being explored? I will leave this question to the more experts on Diamond Publishing to answer later, because Irina and Milica, I think they will have some views on this as well. And I think to some extent they have responded to this in the chat. But I am happy to see here that most people agree with this statement, and maybe the most interesting things, apart from whether you agree or disagree with some statements, would be here to see if you have any suggestions. So let's take 5 minutes, and then we need to give the floor to Irina and Milica. What concrete steps can institutions or funders take to ensure Diamond Open Access journals are fairly assessed and valued within a research evaluation system? A good editorial board. advocate for a change of research assessment criteria, map and acknowledge the contribution to the Diamond open access landscape. Rupert, point call. Change research assessment criteria, support Diamond open access journals, recognizing the reward researchers for Diamond open access publication and activities, not just high impact profit journal. And this, I wanted to highlight this in terms of another question that Selçuk made, and it was the first question whether there is there a quality classification system being developed for Diamond open access journals like the journal impact factor? And the discussion is when we are giving advice, I think, to not rely on things like the journal impact factor or the H index. I wonder whether another classification system should replace what is already there. And I think this is a worry that we don't do something that simply replaces what is there, and then we keep doing the same quantitative ways of measuring quality. I think the problem is how we can find ways to make sure that qualitative assessment is possible without necessarily relying so much on numbers. So that's what intrigued me in the question by Selçuk in the first place. But some more responses ensure they meet established quality standards like DOJ, provide training and guidance on how to evaluate research without relying on journal prestige. I love this. I think awareness is important on what makes the difference here. The articles and their impact should be evaluated itself. Thank you. Yes, and this is what Dora started saying in 2012. Yes, we need to make open science practices more present and visible in these activities. Fundamentally ensure that the foundational infrastructure upon which all these building stands is supported and funded. Systems like this are integral to and yet are often ignored. Interesting statement. But I agree 100% that they have to be supported and funded. And I think the entire infrastructure and Diamond open access publishing needs to be more supported. I've seen implementations of the OJS that is delivered by PKP in so many different platforms, countries. So it's a very, very real suggestion that we need to take into consideration. So I think here we see a lot of discussion around changing criteria, incentives. This is something that the institutions can do. And here today we're talking about, we want to make sure that people are aware that they keep getting the information that Diamond Publishing is developing in the right ways, and that there is quality around it, that because this is sometimes a misconception about open access, and perhaps even more so about Diamond in some regard. And that's why I really like the suggestion about training and awareness. So at this point, I will stop. And thank you very much, everyone, for your suggestions. And I want to just give the floor to Irina and to Milic. I think she will start the presentation, and then we will close the meeting with maybe some final thoughts from our panelists.
Hello, everyone. The last Menti question actually introduces very well the topic we will be covering now. And it's about this alternative system of, I wouldn't say assessing journals in the terms of research assessment, but of establishing quality in Diamond Open Access journals. So in the DIAMAS project, I will just briefly introduce the project. It will finish in August, and many of the results you can already see, so I don't have to explain them in detail. It started in 2022, and there are 23 public service scholarly organizations from 12 countries involved in the project, and it is a kind of a sister project to CRAFT-OA. They have similar aims, but the DIAMAS project is non-technical. It has a non-technical focus as opposed to CRAFT-OA, which has this strong technical focus. So it focuses on the establishment of the standards for Diamond journals. It also seeks to create community. it also focuses strongly on sustainability, and the package of resources has already been available, and I shared the link in the chat so you can check. It's quite substantial. We will talk today about the standard for journals and also some recommendations for funders, policymakers, etc. Irina will tell you more about this. One of the first tasks in the DIAMAS project was developing this open access standards for Diamond Open Access journals. And this was an interesting task because we had to start from the existing documents that come from various areas. So we had a diversity of documents like Web of Science and Scopus criteria, then the recommendations of some organizations supporting publishers and publishing, etc., producing actually standards in research integrity and similar stuff, and more technical stuff on the editorial quality. And we also had some very specific national frameworks for for funding, for assigning subsidies for journals. So we took all those things into account, and there were more than 70 documents. We analyzed closely 59 of them, and the data set is available. And what we established was that none of those documents address Diamond Open Access specifically. So those standards could be applied to Diamond journals, but they didn't specifically address some very important things for Diamond Open Access journals, for example, governance of funding models, etc. Then we published a report, and based on this report, we created the first version of what is now a standard that was called ACCIP at that time. It went through several rounds of community review. So we took the community response. So it was like aspirational. It was like difficult to achieve all these things. So we got feedback from the community and created a second version that also was subject to community review. And then it was wrapped up as Diamond Open Access standards, and you have the links in the presentation. You can check. The Diamond Open Access standard covers several core components. So quality is defined in a more complex way. There is no single proxy of quality like it is in those commercial databases like Scopus and the Web of Science, where basically once you meet the basic criteria and you get into those databases, there is practically no chance that you would be removed. So you don't have really to meet the quality criteria anymore that strictly. So everything is around that single proxy, which is mostly quantitative. So here, those seven core components are important, and the standard is not meant to create a list of journals and rank them. It's meant to help publishers, primarily publishers and journals, improve their practices. So it's primarily meant for a kind of self-assessment and planning further improvements and alignment with the standards. Some of the criteria are more difficult to meet because, for example, technical criteria or EDIB criteria, some of them are not that difficult to meet. So it's this needs to be analyzed by publishers to see where they stand. I would particularly like to highlight the three components that are not included in this way in other documents that we analyze that actually discuss quality. So it's funding, it's legal ownership, mission and governance, equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. There is a great focus was placed on this, and also open science practices. So we try to analyze this in the defined criteria and to adjust those criteria to the Diamond Open Access context. So these criteria in those sections are quite different from those in commercial journals and in those general lists that we analyzed. So I will show the the results, the tangible results, publications and applications that are associated with DOAS. This was the original document, and it's a kind of a deliverable. So here you can find the methodology and the explanation of the context, and you can find tables where you can see that those criteria can be like required. This is the left column with those checks, and desired. And in order to comply, you practically should focus on those desired. There should be a priority, but you also should strive to achieve those that are desired. Then a tool, an application, this is a web application that is free to all. You can register, go there and do the self-assessment. It's intended for publishers. There is another tool also. When you go to this platform, you will find another tool related to sustainability. So this is about the question. I wouldn't have mentioned it otherwise, because now we are focusing on the standard. And all those requirements from the document are included here. And publishers can indicate whether they fully comply or they are somewhere, I don't know, they've just started thinking about this, or they're almost there. And then they will get like this. So top left, this is how they provide responses. So they can either fully be compliant and say yes. If they say no, they have different levels of compliance. And then as a result, they will get a kind of a spider chart and also those pie charts, and they can see how they stand in particular areas. And this is the chart, also the spider chart shows to what extent they meet the required and desired criteria. Then the original document was a bit difficult to use because of the way the required and desired criteria were grouped. So we regrouped them a bit. So we grouped together required and desired criteria, and we removed some descriptive sections about methodology, etc., and focused closely on those requirements. So this is another document. We call it a brochure, and it's meant for publishers. But journals, it was difficult to use it for individual journals, because some of the questions, they couldn't answer some of the questions, because those questions were intended for the management and some other structures within the publishing institution. So we translated this, the standard, into something that is adjusted to journals. And this is also a kind of a brochure that has those required and desired criteria translated into the journal context. And then we collaborated with the OAJ, because there is an overlap, but the purpose of the document is quite different, because in the OAJ you apply for indexing and then you need to qualify. Here it's not, you don't apply for anything, you just do the self-assessment. So basically we wanted to make it easier for those who intend to apply for indexing in the OAJ, and we mapped and indicated wherever you find this logo, the OAJ logo, that means that this is also required by the OAJ. So I think that is quite handy, and it can be used by individual journals. So how can DOAS be integrated into research assessments? This is not, when we talk to people, this is not like self-explanatory. It's not like they don't take the message immediately. Basically, we defined quality criteria as a public good. And it's very important, because they are transparent, they can be used by anyone, and they can be applied equally by anyone. If you are using the criteria set up by Scopus and the Web of Science, they have a series of indicators that are proprietary, especially those quantitative indicators. So you cannot replicate their assessment. You have to go to there and pay in order to see how something is assessed. So it's this concept of public good is very, very important, because anybody can use it, and anybody can replicate the results they had once. Also, the criteria are multifaceted and granular. So we've broken down. We are not using this one proxy for quality. it's broken down. You can see that quality has many faces and that there are many segments there and many things that, and it's also instructional because that's what usually happens. Publishers use DOAs and they realize that there are some issues that they haven't addressed so far because they were not aware of them. So it's like very detailed and it's very granular. Also, if we integrate, for example, those criteria into into research assessment and especially journal assessment, for example, in many countries, journals get funding based on their performance in the Scopus and Web of Science, whether they're included or not, whether they have an impact factor or not. So if we change those criteria for funding of journals or for national assessment of journals with something that is more transparent, that is more granular, that anybody can do, any library in the country can do, we don't need to pay for an external service, this could actually lead to a major change in research assessment as well, because those journals would get a better ranking. They will be assessed in a more equitable way. They would get a better ranking, at least in the National Research Assessment System. They would qualify for funding, and this could change a landscape because they would have more authors. Authors sometimes avoid journals because they are not included in a particular list, and this could actually make a change. Another thing is building a culture where people are actually become more trained, educated, more aware of the criteria they should take into account. I'm handing over to Irina. That's all from me.
Thanks a lot, Milica. Maybe keep sharing your own slides.
Okay.
Because I only have 2 slides and we
Yeah,
don't need.
sure. No problem.
Science Europe, European University Association, and Operas, together with some other project partners, worked on a document that is called Recommendations and Implementation Guidelines on Supporting Diamond Open Access Publishing for Institutions, Funders, and Policymakers. And I'm dropping a link in the chat to the project deliverable where these recommendations and guidelines are included. And next week, we will also release a glossy brochure, which will present these recommendations in a little bit better way. And one of those recommendations, I think, touches upon our today's conversation, which is enhancing recognition and reward systems for Diamond Open Access journals, authors, editors, and staff. Research organizations and policymakers should establish and promote strategies to recognize and reward contributions of Diamond Open Access journals, editors, reviewers, and authors. And then the strategies should avoid perpetuating on the current system's excessive emphasis on publication metrics, for example, journal impact factor or h-index, and instead be aligned with the principles outlined in the COARA commitments and contribute to positive research cultures. And on positive research cultures, we have another deliverable, which I'll drop in the chat briefly. And I would like to end asking you, and that's the next slide, please, Milica. Do your organizations already have any strategies that recognize and reward contributions of editors, reviewers, and authors in Diamond Open Access Publishing? And if there are such strategies, perhaps you could write in the chat or raise your hand and speak. Thanks a lot, Ivan. That's excellent. Yeah, please let us know, like the moment you release the specific recommendations, it would be great to have them. Because like Fotis mentioned, we plan to prepare a document which will be a joint effort of 3 projects providing some recommendations on Diamond Open Access Publishing and responsible research assessment. And it would be good to highlight some existing practices already. So I guess that's all from us.
Thank you. This was very insightful and I think very necessary to listen about the work that you're doing around Diamond. And I think just for your question that you have on the screen, I would take it to the next step. I would say for those who are present, are you encouraged if you're doing research, are you encouraged to publish in Diamond Open Access Publishing? that would be. Do you feel confident to do you look out for diamond journals, or do you publish in other kind of routes that are differently, let's say they're more prized or rewarded in your context? So I think I'm looking at the same question from a different, let's say, a little bit of different angle. So, but I think as a final step, Janne is contributing to the chat. In Finland, we develop Finnish career assessment metrics, which promotes recognition of diverse contributions as authors, editors, and including Diamond Open Access. Thank you, and also thank you for the link. This is very helpful to know. I'm just trying to make sure that we answered at least Selçuk's, because the Leonidas engaged in the chat with quite a few questions around the technical elements that he presented. I want to make sure that we have responded to the key questions that Selçuk asked. Is there a quality classification system being developed for Diamond Open Access journals like the Journal Impact Factor? Janne said this is not a quality classification, but DIAMAS produced the Diamond Open Access standard, which we now know of. So I hope this is, and CRAFT-OA is also developing the Diamond Discovery Hub, which will complement the Directory of Open Access Journals. So I hope this has been addressed in some regard. Can Diamond Open Access remain sustainable long term? Will it always depend on public funding or alternative funding models being explored? Milica wrote something, but do you want also to share your thoughts here a little bit more for the audience about this question?
Yeah, we discussed a lot this and produced a lot of resources. Sustainability is a very complex issue because different journals, different environments, different countries have different models, and there is no one size fit all. So we have to be like flexible and take into account various options. One of the things that I particularly like about the sustainability discussion is, and it was included in one of your questions in the Menti, is, for example, the support for to infrastructures that support many. So instead of fragmentation, because we have it, this is an issue in Diamond Open Access, investing in infrastructures that support many journals is one of the options. Also, we provide a lot of resources guiding publishers through the process of deciding, of seeing what options they have if they want to like find different sources of funding. So there are many things in those resources. Also, we are providing resources on how to make some savings, and yeah. That's and also changing the culture and the recommendations for funders, policymakers, etc. They also should contribute to sustainability. So no, we don't have a single solution for everyone, but here we are providing resources based on which anyone can decide what they actually need.
I think it's just your response speaks to the complexity of the issue, and that it's not a straightforward way to address it. But collectively, I think we can make some we can find solutions, and I think that's the point of the community-led element of Diamond. And I've seen more and more people willing to engage with Diamond Open Access Publishing because of its non-profit nature. Like those who understand the change, they more and more understand like they need to engage with this infrastructure and make it possible because of how they are being developed. Out of the 4 questions from Selçuk, question number 4, are the efforts to build shared technical platforms, was answered by Irina in the chat as well. And I think more or less we discussed the incentives element. So I want to invite here Janne and Irina to provide a final thought on today's webinar, on the progress that we are making, and what would be your final thoughts in terms of what we discussed today here. Irina, go first, please.
Thanks a lot. I think it was a very useful discussion, which gave us a lot of content to include in the recommendation. So we'll be drafting them in the coming months. And if you're interested, because we have your registration emails, we could share draft recommendations with you for your feedback when they will be ready. And thanks a lot for joining today.
Thank you, Irina. Janne?
Yeah, I also want to thank all the participants and presenters, and the discussion was very rich, and I think it provides a lot of food for thought. I just want to highlight, based on what we discussed today, is that we really need to move forward with the reform of research assessment. I think the best incentive for publishing in Diamond Open Access journals, providing recognition for the editors and reviewers and authors and so on. We really need to focus. We need more quality-focused assessments. So focusing on quality of outputs, contents, contributions to knowledge, instead of using journal as a proxy. Whether it's a Diamond Open Access journal or top impact factor journal, we need to focus more on quality of the contributions themselves.
Thank you so much, Janne. I really hope this was insightful for everyone. I wrote my email very briefly in the chat for someone because a couple of people expressed the interest to learn more about GraspOS and how maybe to be part of this infrastructure. Thanasis provided a quick response to specifically Ruben Silva. But feel free to email me, because it's important to take that, to note it down and make sure that we stay in touch afterwards, and I can forward the suggestions to, because we have, plenaries, general assemblies, we can find ways there to discuss at the highest level, like how we can make sure that GraspOS is used and utilized by the community. So thank you very much, of course, first and foremost to the speakers who made this possible today. Without them, we wouldn't be able to have this discussion, for your insights and expertise. And thank you to the participants, of course, for their comments, their contribution to the Mentimeter, and of course the chat. Thank you very much, everyone. And I wish you a good week, rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.